All right, let's talk about ChatGPT, but forget what you thought you knew, because by 2026, it is not just a fun chatbot anymore. Not even close. It has become a core powerhouse that has totally reshaped the modern workplace. The question isn't if you'll use it, it's how well you'll use it. So let's break down exactly what you need to know to stay ahead of the curve. Okay, so let's really dive into this idea. We're way past the point of just casually experimenting with this stuff. The whole conversation has shifted from, what is this thing, to how do we leverage this to win? AI isn't some backroom IT project anymore. It's become a boardroom imperative. For the world's top companies, like it says right here, AI isn't just a tool, it's a key player on the team. And the sheer scale of this transformation, it's kind of mind-boggling. We're not talking about a slow burn here. This has been a full-blown explosion. In just a few short years, ChatGPT went from this niche toy for tech folks to an absolutely indispensable tool in the corporate arsenal. It's not just a pillar of the modern workplace. Really, it's become the foundation. So what's the secret sauce behind this massive, massive adoption? Well, it's pretty simple. It's all about speed. Businesses are harnessing the power of AI to put their knowledge work into hyperdrive. And honestly, the results are just staggering. Take writing, for example, which, let's be honest, is one of the biggest time sinks for any professional. We're now seeing a 60% reduction in the time it takes just to create those first drafts, for everything from client proposals to internal reports. You know that dreaded blank page stare down? Yeah, that's quickly becoming a distant memory. And it's not just about producing content, it's also about consuming it. I mean, imagine slashing the time you spend on research by nearly half. That's exactly what we're seeing. AI is helping professionals cut through all the noise, digest these super dense technical documents, and get straight to the insights that actually matter. And if you think this sounds a little too good to be true, just look at a company like Asana. They're saving an average of 1 hour per person per day. That is not a rounding error, that is a total game changer. Now, scale that up across an entire organization, and you are looking at a massive competitive advantage. But look, don't try to pigeonhole ChatGPT as just a writer's assistant. It is a Swiss Army knife for the modern professional. It's handling routine customer service. It's acting as a real-time translator for global teams, providing personalized training, and it's even helping engineers write and debug code faster. Its versatility is what makes it so incredibly valuable. But you know how it goes. With great power comes great responsibility. The very same tool that can supercharge your productivity can also create a complete minefield of risks if you're not careful. So let's talk about the dark side of this AI revolution. It's really a classic case of risk versus reward. On one hand, like we've seen, you have this unprecedented productivity. But on the other, you're staring down the barrel of some really serious threats, especially the two big ones for any business: wildly inaccurate information and, maybe worse, catastrophic data breaches. Let's break down those trade-offs. Okay, let's get real about accuracy for a second. The AI can lie. The industry has this soft term for it, hallucination, but let's just call it what it is: fabrication. And it's not some rare thing either. We're talking about a rate of up to 15%, where outputs are partially or even completely made up. It can invent quotes, studies, data points that all look terrifyingly plausible. That is a huge problem. But what about the errors you can't easily see? Well, for complex, specialized topics, nearly a third of responses can have these subtle mistakes that only a true expert would ever spot. So it begs the question, how can you trust an AI that's right most of the time, but dangerously wrong when it matters most? Now, as big as the accuracy problem is, for businesses, the biggest nightmare isn't just misinformation. It's a data breach. The fear that your confidential strategies, your customer lists, or your proprietary code could be used to train the next generation of AI models, well, that was a massive roadblock for enterprise adoption. This fear of data leakage, it created this huge demand for a more secure and enterprise-grade solution, and that is exactly what we got. So let's take a look at how the enterprise version of ChatGPT addresses these critical concerns head-on. So here's the side-by-side comparison, and the key takeaway is right there at the top. With the enterprise version, you own your data, period. OpenAI cannot use it to train their models. That single fact, combined with robust, independently verified security, admin controls, and unlimited high-speed access, that's what finally opened the floodgates for corporate adoption. Yeah, for any serious business, these safeguards are completely non-negotiable. We're talking about total data ownership, ironclad encryption, and independent security audits. You see that SOC 2 compliance on the slide? That's basically a rigorous third-party stamp of approval that your data is being handled securely. This is the foundation of trust that allows companies to finally and confidently deploy AI at scale. So, you've got this secure, powerful tool. Now what? Well, the game has totally changed. It's not about who has access to AI anymore. It's about who knows how to use it. This is your playbook for mastering the art of AI-powered work. A really great way to start is to think of your work in these three distinct layers. So you've got the fast-working layer. This is for the quick stuff, right? Drafting a follow-up email, summarizing your meeting notes. Then there's the analytical layer. This is for the heavy lifting, analyzing complex market trends or outlining a whole strategic plan. And finally, the tooling layer is where you automate complex tasks, like building a workflow to process new sales leads. The key is knowing which layer you need to operate in for any given task. And here's how that looks in practice. For those low-stakes, fast-working tasks, the default model is your go-to. But when you're, flying in stormy weather, when a mistake is really costly, that's when you switch to the high-performance engine for that deeper analysis. And you never, ever forget the golden rule. You are the captain of this ship. The AI is your first officer, but the final decision and the ultimate responsibility, that is always yours. Now this, right here, is probably the most important takeaway of this entire explainer. The AI model itself is becoming a commodity. What's not a commodity is your ability to ask the right questions. Your success with AI isn't going to be determined by the tool you use, but by the quality of your thinking. The era of AI is here, and trust me, it's not going anywhere. The competition is no longer about technology. It's about talent. The future belongs to those who can ask the kinds of questions that unlock the full potential of this incredible tool. So the real question is, what questions will you ask?